Hello indie game fans! Pixel art comes in many shapes and forms, and as is tradition on this channel, we will take a look at 50 games I consider to have great pixel art released in 2019. This list extends to early access titles and are not in any particular order, starting with A Short Hike, a chill exploration game that has you hiking up a mountain. Obviously not pure pixel art and more on the voxel side of things, but gorgeous nonetheless.
This is not just a beat 'em up. This is not just a shoot 'em up. This is not just a racing game. This is not just a ninja game. This is not just an RPG. This is the story of my life.
198X is a coming-of-age story that is told through the games and experiences that our protagonist has at a local arcade in the 80s. Of course, for people who grew up with arcades, this will hit that nostalgia center, but it does a great job at capturing that retro look. One of the overlooked indie games of the year is N, a Metroidvania set in a world where robots who are infected with the love virus must be decommissioned, and of course, your objective is to rescue one such robot. Very impressive ship designs and environmental backgrounds with some nice foliage and lighting as well. A little bit of a cop-out on this one, since Anodyne 2 primarily uses the PSX aesthetic in its presentation, but this does zoom into a pixel art action-adventure game where you enter the dungeons within other characters' bodies. Of course, very reminiscent of GBA RPGs in such a mode, but the game itself is very surreal and worth checking out. Atma is a free-to-play adventure game where you play as a guardian of the living and the spirit world, torn between your duties and your lover. Beautiful environments, lighting and colours in this. Pixel art roguelike platformer where you have to climb an evolving tower to kill the architect at the top. Black Future 88 self-describes as synth-punk, so I suppose cyberpunk adjacent, and of course, the ample neon colours used is what caught my eye. The colour flares from projectiles and weapons do seem pretty extreme and overly bright, but I suppose it adds to the mood. A roguelite farming sim bullet hell shooter sure is an interesting concept, and Atomic Crops manages to pull it off very well. Set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, the mutant creatures and plants are very well animated with expressive features, which even extends to the bosses as well. Character portraits are also well done, and the core systems and gameplay is hectic and fun, and I always look forward to the content patches. Blasphemous features in my top 25 indie games of the year list, so it's a no-brainer to be shown off again right here. Given that the whole world, mythos and aesthetic is inspired by the Catholic faith and Dark Souls, you can certainly see where the gruesome enemies and boss designs come from.
Finally, I'm almost out of this crypt. But this isn't the world I remember. At least this guy is familiar. And that pulsing rhythm. Wait, I think I was called here for a purpose. It looks like I've got work to do. And this time, I have help.
Cadence of Hyrule is basically Crypt of the Necrodancer with a Legend of Zelda skin over it, and as such didn't quite qualify as indie in my book. But the remixed versions of those iconic tracks and the adaptation of the IP to the roguelite genre was very clever, with, of course, awesome pixel art. The Contra Rogue Core, like Blazing Chrome, also featured on my list and has that classic Genesis or Neo Geo look, which this developer is fantastic at replicating. The action is non-stop and pretty awesome, even better with a friend, to get your old school fix with this. Cathedral is another overlooked title this year, since this is basically what if Shovel Knight was a Metroidvania, and I certainly enjoyed my time with it. It has that classic 8-bit Shovel Knight or Elwa's Awakening look, so nothing too fancy like lighting effects, but very pleasant nonetheless. The family-based roguelite action game with such a compelling gameplay loop was also a highlight for 2019, and what contributed was the high-bit pixel art. Children of Morta is wonderfully detailed, with flashy effects from your skills, and the purple corruption also squirms and oozes very nicely. Crying Suns is a roguelite strategy game that merges FTL with real-time grid-based combat and has you jumping through wormholes, exploring planets, fighting pirates, and uncovering the truth. Again, this mixed in voxel models as well, but the stark use of lighting and the silhouettes was very impressive to me. Just a quick note, if you are new here and enjoyed the video so far, be sure to subscribe and check out the Discord channel while you are at it. Here's to more indie gaming coverage, so back to the video. Dark Devotion is a 2D Souls-like action platformer, which I have to admit that I didn't get very far since my patience was wearing thin with the stamina-based combat. However, this looks to top Death's Gambit in both design and how it was received, so one for fans of the genre, with awe-inspiring bosses in particular. King of Cards concludes the Shovel Knight story for now, 5 years after the initial launch, finally fulfilling all Kickstarter stretch goals. What started out as a humble campaign rolled into one of the most massive IPs in the indie gaming space, and the quality has consistently been excellent. This features that very same 8-bit inspired look. Alright, so this one is a little bit risque, and there's some borderline plagiarism here, but Demonica Everlasting Night is a Metroidvania with fighting game inputs as controls, which feels pretty unique. Good pixel art, especially in the character portraits, and an interestingly designed game with some rough edges.
"1,000 years ago, the wind, waves, and sun brought ashore the band of settlers to a wilderness full of exotic and savage creatures. They found themselves here, in a place unlike any other."
Eagle Island is a roguelike platformer with an interesting structure, since this has a campaign mode with procedurally generated dungeons or full-on roguelite mode as well. The combos are very fun to pull off, and your main owl companion, Koji, is just adorable.
Eagle Island.
Another roguelite action game makes the list, and surprisingly, we have been seeing a slight decline in the number of these this year. There are multiple classes, with loot and some impressive pixel art, but this does have quite the muted color palette, leaning on greens and browns, but this developer is one to keep an eye on.
She was out cold when we first found her. She needed our help. We needed her help too. Since the fractures, things changed. The animals are different, angry. The sparklight that once gave life now corrupts and pollutes. Baron wants all the sparklight for himself, and the
Just as I was lamenting the lack of roguelites, Sparklight is an action-adventure one of these which did catch my eye when I first saw the trailer, put out during one of those gaming conventions. Save the planet and battle mechanical monstrosities and corrupted animals in this.
she will get up and fight again, and we will help her.
Gato Roboto gets on the board with its very stark monochrome look, where you play as a cat in a mech suit, which of course is the most obvious Metroid tribute if I ever saw one. Such an adorable concept for a relatively good price as well. I have seen many indies try to do the black and white art style to no success, but this pulls it off very nicely. Gensokyo Night Festival is part of the Toho fan game Monolith and is a 2D Metroidvania with bullet hell elements. This one is still in early access with some impressive backgrounds and animations, although not purely pixel art. This one featured on my Game of the Year list and is, again, another Metroidvania, but Super Epic The Entertainment War parodies the modern video game industry. I love the designs of the main characters, an adorable raccoon and a llama with a weird face, as well as the designs of the enemies, which are anthropomorphic animals, and the cutscenes have some great art as well. An arena action platformer, Hell is Other Demons is an intense, objective-focused action game where you have to customize your loadout and upgrades, from double jumps, dashes, and weapon upgrades. Neat use of colors, and awesome giant bosses in this. The original Jamestown, released in 2011, made my list of the best high-bit pixel art indie games, so perhaps I have to re-look at that in the near future, since Jamestown Plus is the enhanced re-release. This shoot 'em up is very frantic but very fun, and everything from the particle effects, bosses, enemies, and even background buildings and characters does remind me of something like Metal Slug, which looks awesome as well. Rounding off part 1 is Katana Zero, very high up on many Game of the Year recaps, and for good reason, since this is a stylish action platformer with bullet time where you play as an assassin dealing with mental trauma. The thing that immediately caught my eye is the lighting effects, which I'm a huge sucker for in modern high-bit pixel art games, and add to that copious blood sprays and detailed environments, and you have yourself a winner. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, share and subscribe. Check out the recommended playlist or the best pick for you, and I will see you after the jump.